committee meeting. Tonight I'm standing in for Councillor Hannah Scott, who is the chairman of the planning meeting. So be lenient. We've got the agenda. We have Hannah's apologies for her absence. She's on migraine, so that's cut her out completely. Do any members need to declare an interest, pecuniary interest in any of the items on the agenda?
No.
Right. The minutes for the previous meeting. Are there any comments on those? Does anybody have anything to alter or add?
No.
Councillor, would you like to, someone like to propose?
Propose.
Second?
Yes, sir.
All in agreement? Thank you. There aren't any announcements from the chairperson. And I don't believe anybody's asked to speak tonight, have they?
No.
Jasmine, thank you. Right. The application for 123 Canterbury Road at Summerlands. There have been reports from residents about rats and foxes and environmental health issues on the site. And good evening. Councillor Hannah Scott was going to make a report on this, but in view of her absence, unless any other councillor has any comments to make. Councillor Page.
The main concern, which I think is probably reflected on most people, is the length of time that's been taken for this property to have any kind of development done. I don't know how many years it's been there, but it's definitely years. It's just sitting in a very shoddy state and becoming worse. They haven't even replaced the windows to make the building safe. Most recently, last week, there were skips out there overflowing with rubbish. Those seem to have been removed, but all there is out there are permanently parked cars or vehicles which don't seem to move. You never see any work actually being done there. My concern is there some way of, perhaps through TDC, finding out the status of what's happening with the owners or landlords for this property, because it's an eyesore.
Yes.
And if it's now causing health hazards as well, because the Century 21 bungalows are directly behind those, where there are elderly residents with some disabilities living, and I don't think it's fair to those residents if the conditions are such that health and safety is being compromised.
In that case, we need to really follow this up. I need to get the report from Councillor Scott. Unfortunately, our clerk's away at the moment, but we can all, I think we ought to, we'll put this back on the agenda for the next planning meeting. I'll make sure that happens, and I think we all should bring something to the table on the progress of what's happening.
Just as an additional comment to what I just said, a building of that size and stature sitting derelict, which is how it is now, it's not just empty, it's derelict, when we've got a surgery in the town that needs either another surgery or facilities to move into, or other aspects of the town that could be utilising a building of that nature. You know,
No, that absolutely.
could we be considering an emergency A&E walk-in centre, for instance? Something useful that's going to be worthwhile to the town, rather than just a derelict building sitting there, getting worse by the month.
Yes, and harder to refurbish.
Yes.
At the end of the day.
Yes.
Do any other councillors have any comments on this one?
I mean, we'll certainly have a look into this one as well. I'm not fully familiar with all the issues, but I know it's one of contention, so go to the site and have a little look.
Yes, okay, all right. It's just really unfortunate we don't have Councillor Scott's report on it. But I think we agree, we'll minute it that we look into this individually, gather some more information. I mean, the history of it is medical, so that's a good point. And it's really accessible though.
And it's got car parking,
It has everything.
it's next to the bus stop. It would be a good community hub.
No, you're absolutely right.
in whatever way it could be used. But we've got a surgery that's creaking at the seams and needs space. It's ideal. I mean, I think they may have taken a lot of the innards of the building out by now.
Yes.
So whatever medical facilities may have been, possibly might have been taken out. But when you've got a surgery that can't cope with the number of people it's got in the town that it's expected to manage, they could use those facilities, not necessarily move the surgery, but have extra facilities there and use parts of the building for other things in the community.
Not exactly. And bearing in mind that another premises was going to be used as a shell and built, and it's already there, isn't it?
Yeah.
The infrastructure is there. No, that's... Do you want to lead on that? Right, agenda item number 7, the Knot, Beach Road. There's an appeal going on. Has anyone got any comments on this? No comments from anyone?
I mean, for full disclosure, I mean, I didn't go fully on to the agenda, well, look through all the agenda, because I did initially have another meeting I was meant to go to for the NHS consultation, so I've only really been looking at the back end of the agenda, so I can't really give too much of a comment from 10 minutes. But then, I'm afraid, I can't give.
No. Thank you, Councillor Scott. Councillor Finch.
I did try to look into this appeal, but there were no documents available on the TDC website. It's listed as an appeal ongoing, but no documents attached that I could physically look at. I was hoping that Kate might be here this evening to discuss this with us. Is this something that we could put forward to the next agenda, or is there a time limit on this?
No, I don't think, there's no mention of a time limit on here. We have had comments from CAG, but the basic thing is that we need to know is that the appeal has gone to the Secretary of State for Planning, and all the objections had to be in by the 22nd of August. CAG put in an objection, and the appellant had until the 5th of September to appeal, and no decision has yet been made. Sally Whitworth from CAG put in a personal objection, and which is quite lengthy, so I won't read it all out. But it's basically the Knot, one of Westgate-on-Sea's oldest buildings, originally called the Nottingham Castle. It was opened in 1870. It's been a public hotel and house since that time, and it is in the Westgate-on-Sea conservation area. And originally the application was to have a micropub on site, which continued the tradition of being a community asset, and it would be aimed at local people. There's a cafe nearby which is often closed at night, and a micropub would be the only amenity in St Mildred's Bay area. The proposed rent for the micropub was always artificially high, and there are other very successful micropubs in the Thanet area with a much lower rent. And they feel that this rent was set high to deter the actual opening of any micropub, and it was made into flats. And that's the reason, but the reason that planning permission was given in the first place was to have a micropub.
Yes.
So that's been flaunted, hence the appeal to the Secretary of State. So basically this is ongoing, and there'll be an update at the next meeting. Councillor Page.
Can I just ask if there is information of that nature in future, could it be shared with us, because I haven't seen that information?
Well, tonight it's going to be presented in full by Councillor Scott. But yes,
It might have been helpful to be able to see.
yes, I think we need to take note of that. But for everybody's information, that is in hand and it's not being ignored, and is ongoing. Agenda item number 8, the Kent Association of Local Councils of Transport Conference on the 26th of October. We need to agree who would like to be the delegate for that from the council, because it's really important. There's a lot to take in there, and possibly 2 of us should go. Councillor Page.
Unfortunately, I'm not available that weekend, I'm sorry. I'm away from tomorrow.
Councillor Matthew Scott.
I mean, we did ourselves go to the Stagecoach and Kent Council transportation or transportation. So I would suggest, obviously, if you are free on that, maybe yourself and I to attend that particular meeting.
Ah, the big conversation.
Yeah, the conversation.
Yes.
The big conversation.
There was
Last year, wasn't
a Kent County Council workshop, well no, it was a big initiative, wasn't it?
Yes.
Called The Big Conversation, which was a little bit disconcerting, and it was about buses and upgrading the bus system and encouraging people to stop driving and use buses. And this is a follow-on from that. So Councillor Scott and myself will go to that on the 26th of October, and we'll report back at the next full council meeting. Yes?
No problems.
Right, the next item on the agenda is the planning decisions by Thanet District Council. There are numerous ones here. Oh, everybody has a copy. Now, do you want me to run through these, or are they, the ones that have been granted permission are self-explanatory and permissions being granted or withdrawn? Do we need to go through those individually? Is everyone happy for me to go through those? Yes? Okay. We'll go on to the ones that are for consultation, which is item number 10. The first one being 129 Sea Road, Westgate-on-Sea. This is for vehicle... sorry, I've got my notes moved up here. Right, any comments for this have to be in by the 24th of September. And the inspector turned down the original application, Councillor Page.
Yes, this has been before us previously, and the application was turned down. It's been resubmitted with amendments. It was turned down previously because of it was regarded as an overdevelopment, and that the roof on this particular building was going to be higher than others in that particular road, and was not in keeping with the look within the area. There were also complaints about the adjoining property being overlooked from 2 particular angles. The amendments that appear to have been made to this most recent application is that the roof has been amended so that it's not as high as it was, and it's actually flatter. So they're obviously trying to adjust that. And looking at the plans, I mean, the look of it isn't too bad. The only other adjustment to it then is that previously it was 8 flats, and because of the adjustment of the roof, it's now 7 flats. But there are still objections from the same neighbours for the same reasons. That has not changed at all. And the adjoining property has an objection placed because they're still being overlooked from 2 different angles. And this property is going right up to their perimeter. But the main objections from the neighbours are that it's overdevelopment and it's not in keeping with the other properties in this particular area. Having looked, the design and access statement is not available in this particular application. Highways are stipulating if this is to be acceptable as an application, there are certain stipulations that have to be met before they go ahead with the development.
Yes. And it conflicts with the local plan as well.
Yes. Plus, this is on the corner of a cul-de-sac. And one of the things that's been highlighted is that this development only allows one parking space per flat. There's nothing for visitors, so it's going to increase traffic anyway. Much apart from the traffic that's going to be going to and fro during the development of this, if it's accepted. And people in this cul-de-sac are concerned about that.
And the main issues, I think, are still in place from the previous inspectorate's report. The fact that the character and appearance of the area and the living conditions of the occupiers of Westerly with regard to privacy are issues. And as you said, the majority of dwellings are 2 stories, and it comes forward. It's set forward from, I don't know if have you seen these plans?
Yes.
The proposal, the buildings are set forward considerably, especially when you're coming from Westerly angle. And it would be bulky, wide and deep in comparison. Sorry, if you bear with me here. I told you when that I did mention 24th of September, didn't I? Sorry, this is for one tonight. Bear with us. Yes, 24th of September, I do beg your pardon, Councillor Page.
Essentially, I don't think our decision has changed. Personally, I feel that the changes that have been made are quite small in relation to this whole development, and essentially doesn't change it very much at all. The same contentious issues are there, those haven't changed. The same objections are still there from the local neighbours.
Yes.
Those haven't changed.
Forward, yes. Privacy, all those things.
Privacy, highways, none of those things are altered. The only things that are altered is the shape of the roof, and the fact that by changing the shape of the roof, they've reduced the number of flats that will be created from 8 to 7. That's all that's changed. My own feeling is that I would not want to approve this.
No. So we need to just say, convey our continued objection to the proposal, which fails on a number of criteria, planning regulations require. Thank you. And also, I wanted to note that on the objections, one of the things that came up was a general dislike of the proposal, which is something that is not valid. If you're making an objection to a planning proposal, having a dislike of the actual application, the design, etc., is invalid. There are lists on the internet of reasons that are applicable and reasons that aren't. And I'm going to ask the clerk to put those on the website to help people when they're making objections to any planning and applications that are made within the West Begmondsey area. Thank you. Okay, the next one is 42 Station Road, Westgate-on-Sea. Change of use from retail, that's use class A1, to retail sandwich bar, class A3, and drinking establishment, class A4. with alterations to fenestration, installation of a canopy, erection of single-storey WC and associated landscaping. Do any councillors have any comments on this?
So, I mean, to my understanding, it's number 40 Station Road that we're to look at.
Yes.
Oh, it's got 42 here.
So, yeah, I mean, that's for all planning applications. This comes under a matter of contention. I mean, if you go by the sort of social media status, it's been opened up and proposed and gone ahead as a sandwich eating establishment. I mean, I'll just read off the comments that I've had both on the website and put forward to me. One of those being the issue with noise within that particular area. The current site at the moment, which it will be next to, is Paul's Bar and Bistro. I mean, that in itself, for me personally, as a councillor for the district, have received numerous complaints where they are more than happy for businesses to thrive within Westgate. It's obviously a very important thing, but obviously people do have to live and reside in Westgate, and noise has been quite an issue. I understand that Paul does go down the actual routes of going ahead with licensing, and through my understanding also it's made quite clear as and when such events are happening, but in itself that is already a matter of an issue. So sort of what brings it forward is, I think the biggest comments is for this to become an establishment where it can be used for drinking. So various comments that they've been saying that not only just the actual drinking establishment, but the general issue with the sign itself, to which I understand could have impacts on the fact that it's a class as a conservation area and the sign may not fit within that. So objections have been risen against that. It's down to noise issues. Some have said that it's not in keeping with the actual character of the area. Others do feel it's also overdeveloped, but I think the biggest issue here is the establishment, as it being a drinking establishment, will be already too close to another drinking establishment, where potential noise issue can be a major concern. We also have some which were saying that, with, to my understanding, again, I'm not too okay the whole planning side of things, but for something to become a drinking establishment, it would need to facilitate restaurants, for which, again, correct me if I'm wrong or not. I mean, these are just the comments. Thank you very much, Councillor Page. So yeah, I mean, these are just sort of putting it down. Some people feel it's also lots of parking, again, increased traffic, but ideally not for in Westgate. Again, some of these are down to the general display proposal, which we've really established is not necessary. And that's, I mean, for me, on my personal level, any sort of business and establishment is welcome, but I feel that a drinking establishment that close, if it's based in that establishment there, I can't see how it's viable to even maintain a drinking establishment.
If every drinking establishment in the town, if every establishment in the town is a drinking establishment, we couldn't object to having another one. But there are other issues about the premises itself. Councillor Page.
Yes, looking at the original application, it hasn't been completed very well. The information provided to the answers is very scant, but the one that concerned me quite a bit is the question about removal or disposal of foul waste. The answer given to the question was typed in, don't know. Now, on the plans, we have a wooden clad construction. One side is a sandwich bar, which will have 2 counters and a minimal amount of seating. It's not clear how many people can be seated in there, but I think essentially it's going to be a takeaway retail. The immediately next door is what they are planning to have as a micro pub. And that includes bifold doors on the front, block paving, hard standing at the front, which clearly indicates that they're going to have outside seating. What's not obvious from the plans, unless you actually start looking for it, that type of property needs toilet facilities. It is there, but it's not clear. And the reason I started looking for it was because of the answer to that particular question on the application. There will be a separate cube, small cube building with 2 stalls inside. But nowhere in this application is there any reference to drainage, washing facilities, or how that's going to be managed. There's nothing about refuse, storage of refuse, getting rid of refuse. The whole application is very, as I say, very scant. So if you add that to the objections that already are coming through in terms of noise and the fact that it doesn't fit the look of the conservation area, it's almost like somebody had the idea, well, we've got this piece of land, we'll use the excuse that it used to be a cafe when it was a garden centre. Historically it's been a cafe, so why can't it be a cafe or similar again? But that doesn't fit with the application. It's a brand new application, brand new build.
Thank you. Yes. I don't think any of us object to the fact the retail change. Councillor?
Yeah, I was just going to say, bit different to what Councillor Scott was saying. I don't see there's any issue with it being an alcohol supplying services, because the gin bar is a few doors up from there, and that's not closed, I believe. So it's not increasing things any more than they were a few weeks ago.
There is a difference there in that the other premises that you mentioned had an indoor area which contained everything that there have been complaints about. This area doesn't have any inside shelter. It's all outside. It's all out there. And Councillor Page.
Well, to be fair, the micro club has enough space for some seating in there. But again, it's not been stipulated how many people it can accommodate. It's not very big, but the plans indicate seating.
And there are issues with the signage as well. And there have been concerns about the design of the sign and the lack of confidence in the style of any further design decisions within the conservation area, because it is within the conservation area. And we need to maintain that in Westgate-on-Sea because it is a tourist attraction and it is part of our heritage and it is a unique town. And we only have one single high street. And there have been complaints about both signs, both the one that faces Westbury Road and the one that faces St Mildred's. Station Road, I beg your pardon. Right. On principle, for TDC purposes, what would you like to propose?
I mean, I can call it in for the TDC. I mean, I just need to, on the basis of why would we call this in? So, give me that information, that instruction. So, if there's a request to call it in, I mean, I do have a request here for it to be called in. With these being, number one, the proposed development can be harmful to the character and the appearance of Westgate on the sea Somerset for me.
Conservation area.
See, I just had it in my head. The number two, the proposed change of use would have far harmful impact on the amenities of nearby residential properties. So, I mean, to these would sound like the highlight of potential noise complaints and the signage. So, I will dig in further, but obviously if the town council themselves decide to have their own comments, then those could be put into consideration as well.
Right. Are we in agreement that we'll call it in? We'd like to have it called in.
Yes. Is it possible to note what we regard as an inadequate application? completion.
We can
Is that
detail
possible?
it.
We have called in on the basis that we feel that the application is not detailed now. Although we don't have,
Am I right in saying you don't have any objection to the retail change of use?
no, not in essence, because a retail unit in a road that offers retail, businesses, shops, no, yes,
So we have no objection to that.
I mean, I personally haven't gone to the actual site myself, but I understand that as a general consensus by the social media platform, it's been received well as a sandwich bar and a takeaway restaurant. And obviously, if someone wants to come and do a business there, they should be able to open up what they want. They can have competition, it's competition. And I feel that it can fundamentally offer something very different to neighbouring sites. So I can see it working as it was initially looking to be intended, which was the sandwich shack. Obviously, it's just the complaints about the sign and the potential change of use.
Yes, the licensing of the
Yes.
premises, bearing in mind the vagueness of the application, planning application.
And I mean, those are the comments that have been brought to my attention as the issues. Nothing about the establishment as itself.
Okay, we do need to take a vote on it. Vote and second, that we have it called in on those grounds. Councillor Page and Councillor Scott to second it. Is that clear enough for you to have? Yeah, that's fine. Right, okay, thank you. 25 Leamington Road, Westgate-on-Sea, the erection of a single-storey rear extension and single-storey side extension. There have been no objections to this. So, no comment on that one, please. 24 Westbury Road, Westgate-on-Sea, the installation of solar panels to a rear slope roof. There have been no objections on this one, either. No comments, please. And number 12, Minster Road, Westgate-on-Sea, the formation of vehicular access and associated car standing. There have been no comments, no objections on this one.
The only one that I would see, having just had a brief look at this one, was based on the proposed site. There's currently a bus stop, and to my understanding, it would require the bus stop to be moved ever so slightly. I'm assuming that the bus stop in question is our own Regency coach bus stop that comes to Westgate and Leamington. So I just don't know if that would affect the accessibility for the particular vehicle getting in and out, or if that should hold down the bus route at all. And the only other one was that it mentioned that there was no nearby trees or hedges. Again, having looked at the site and Google Maps, there is a clear tree next to it. I can't see it having any issues with it, but the fact,
Okay.
where do you draw the line of something nearby? Does it have to be like inches away or metres away? Because there is some trees near that site. And obviously it's a pathway, so you're requiring digging up and removing the grass verge. No, I
Does
mean,
anybody else have any comments on that?
I would just agree with the councillor, so just to say,
Do you want to make that a concern?
yes.
yeah, I mean, to put comments, it's just a concern for potential access for both the resident and accessibility for the bus stops, and just a general concern about the nearby trees, should there be any effect in, especially with the sort of leading of the verges and essentially placing down on brick. So, however you want to word that.
We have to formulate our proposal for that. Councillor Page, do you want to?
I think just, what, do we have to formulate a sentence or can we just do bullet points? Is that acceptable?
Generally
Bullet
formulate a
points?
sentence, and then we propose, we make a proposal.
So, questionable public accessibility and vehicle access, and potential destruction to nearby trees, which not highlighted.
Which would come under nature conservation. We're concerned about the nature conservation and the highway issue of the bus stop. Would someone like to propose that? Oh, Councillor Page propose that. And a second one, please. And then we'll move over. Thank you. I'd like to point out here that the Westgate Town Council Planning Committee doesn't make decisions, we make recommendations based on what we know about our town. Our planning is quite a complex area, so if it seems a little bit unprofessional. No, it's not unprofessional. It's a little bit, we have to make our decisions. We have to get the right comments across to the district council. It's important. Thank you, Councillor Page.
Just in support of that, and for your benefit, the planning department at TDC will only accept certain types of phrases or descriptions. So when we look like we're questioning each other about how we can do things, it's because sometimes we're not sure of the best way to put it so that TDC will accept what we're giving to them, because they have certain rules about how they assess things.
Yes.
Is that a good way of putting it?
Formal. It is quite formal. Very formal. Right. Well, thank you for attending tonight. And the meeting closes. Sorry?
Addendum.
Oh, the addendum. I beg your pardon. The on-street parking proposed for Station Road by Thanet District Council. The Thanet District Council Joint Transportation Board is to meet on the 12th of the 9th, 2019 to debate the decision to potentially implement on-street parking on Station Road in Westgate on Sea. Members of the Planning Committee are to debate the proposal and the impact it could have on the town. Councillor Scott was, Councillor Matthew Scott to report. Thank you, Councillor Scott. I do beg your pardon.
Okay. Yeah, good evening. So, I mean, this was the main reason why I was able to sort of put my attention towards this meeting today. Again, as mentioned, I was looking to go to another meeting for the NHS and obviously the proposal of what's happening with our hospitals in Margate. So this was actually brought very recently to my attention. To be fair, it would appear that a lot of the actual district councillors themselves were unknown to this particular proposal of the joint transportation. Unfortunately, rumours were circulated instead of people acting on those rumours and reaching out to their own district councillors. It just fell into the years there and there. So obviously today we are to debate about the potential proposed parking installation meters for Station Road. So it had been held by an independent surveyor, which was July of last year, which felt the need that the roads of Copper and Minster Road, that's St Mildred's Road, didn't require the parking meters. That Station Road, though, however, had some issues with parking. I'll be going to the Joint Transportation Board meeting on the 12th of September to discuss about the issues, and I've had various emails about this. I mean, so for myself, on a district councillor level, I personally feel that this would have a major negative impact on Westgate. To go forward with parking meters is counterproductive because those parking meters would require enforcement. The fact that we don't have that enforcement in the first place is questionable. I mean, we are lucky to have a 1 hour parking, which will, with no return, which allows residents to come, use the facilities in the shops, to go to the cafe, have a coffee, and naturally move on. We also have the types of businesses where it just requires sort of a pop in and an out. So these are businesses that rely on that type of footfall. It's not a place you could say where you could, I mean you can do a big shop if you wish, but a lot of it we're fortunate enough to have the individual businesses that offer those services. And I feel that having a enforced parking right there and then, so chargeable the moment you park, would just have a huge negative impact. It would also just push traffic onto the roads that at the moment I feel these ones that are taken out of the consultation, such as the Cuthbert Road and St Mildred's, people are going to park there, and then who's to say that they do another independent survey and again start saying, well, we've seen these roads congested now, let's start putting parking meters here. I mean, me personally just feels that it's a very counterproductive way of doing things. It really does simply just need to be enforced. It is down to general consideration as well as parking. I mean, I think the traffic flow is only ever an issue around about sort of the school rush time, and I think the surveyors only ever really probably had a look at the times of when this is busy. I mean, having used public transport, it'll probably be around about the school time where people are dropping people at schools, on the train station, parking on double yellows, dropping their kids off, on the bus stop, that things start getting congested, and it's the bus itself that is generally sort of having to wait for these residents to then move and then park in. I mean, that's just generally how I feel. I'm going through with Councillor Samantha Banbridge on Thursday before the meetings to highlight the points. We've sort of looked online, we've sort of gauged the public's responses, and we're going to be taking a lot of that into consideration, because I also do feel that there are certain businesses there who do find it frustrating that there are people parking there longer than intended. So all of this does need to be looked into, but I personally feel that installation of parking meters is just fundamentally the wrong way to go about it. For more better of fact is it's installation onto our pavements, which are already quite narrow. And again, yeah, some of the proposed costs, I just don't think it is a way that TDC, I mean TDC, to my understanding as well, can only ever make the money to pay towards the highway side of things. So this doesn't go into an actual pot. But correct me if I'm wrong.
Thank you, Councillor Scott. Councillor Page.
Following on from the subject of money, if this were to go ahead, and we obviously don't want it, but if it were to go ahead, and you're now talking about the installation of meters as opposed to any other kind of method of charging people, there would be disruption, physical disruption. But going on from that, who would actually foot the bill for all of that? Who would end up paying for all of this? Do you know the answer to that at all?
Yeah, well, I mean, for myself, for the chair, I would assume it would obviously come through taxpayers' monies. Obviously, it would be TDC who would be initially paying for these installation of the meters, so I would assume it would come from there. I don't have all the facts. Again, this was put very much on my lap, with not as much detail as I wanted. I did actually go to one of the cabinet members, who is the head for cabinet for the operations, and did put my concerns over in an email with some questions to be sort of answered. Unfortunately, they haven't come back to me with those answers, and only really had a brief chat at one of the group meetings. So I'm doing my own research going forward. I mean, just to be clear, for full disclosure, I'm very new to the district side, but I'm learning.
Could you include, as part of your research, my question, and expand that out to, would the charging come back to Westgate Town Council, and consequently would it affect the brains precept ultimately, because that has a direct effect on all of us as residents. So I think that's something that should be explored. Not that we want this, but you have to look at all angles of these proposals to know what you're actually dealing with.
And I think we should know why the current 1 hour parking restriction is not enforced, because that would make a difference.
I mean,
Is it so that GDC cannot make get funds via parking? On-street parking is not a way for the district council to increase their funds.
again,
That's
this
not
will be
legal.
a question that I've asked, but have yet to receive an answer on.
That was one of the major objections on the last application.
It was because that
No,
that
no,
cropped
no.
up as something that had been found to be in documentation. That's historical, obviously, and that needs to be understood. But if that were the case, you're quite right, it would be illegal. We shouldn't be subjected to something like this just for fundraising for the council. It's also the wording of the reasoning that they've given for this proposal is to create attractive parking, as if it doesn't already exist. We've already got available parking in Station Road. It doesn't need to be created. And creating parking bays and parking meters is not going to provide us with the ebb and flow of shoppers and vehicles in the way that it moves now, which works for everybody. It does work. What will actually happen is that people will refuse to pay and the town will be rejected by people. When we're trying to make sure that people are using our businesses, not just the residents, but visitors in the good times. You know, when the weather's great and we've got people coming into the town, we want the place to be usable. We don't want it to detract from it. We don't want to frighten people off. And I feel that this proposal would frighten people off.
Yes. And if we're concerned about signage, we definitely are concerned about meters.
Very true.
Councillor Scott.
Yeah, so it was obviously an opportunity for me to sort of gauge the town council's views on this. We do have our chair, who I hope will be attending the Joint Transportation Board to represent the town council on Thursday and hopefully reiterate some of the points that have been made at the planning today. Just to echo Councillor Page, it is just down to the fact that it is, for me, it's a waste of money. It's the wrong way to go about things. I mean, if it's to maintain the chaos that apparently is happening in Station Road, then we can simply just have the enforcement that we have already, which is after an hour, if you're still there, you need to either move or you risk facing a ticket. It should be a case that we should be all very considerate with our own parking anyway. Generally, I do see from time to time that people do end up parking on double yellows and actually blocking the drop curbs, which are actually designed there for accessibility issues for those with prams, pushchairs and other needs where they can't actually use the curbs. But there are just a number of factors here, and I just see it having a massive negative impact in the sense that it will just deter people from using Station Roads, therefore parking onto the other roads, which will simply congest them. I can imagine those becoming under independent review. It will then push the parking onto these residential roads and encourage double parking. And the simple case is, once you install these meters, who is actually going to enforce this? Because if you're going to have people to come down and enforce a parking which is not even a 1 hour parking, so the moment you park there, you could potentially be paying up to £2 from what I understand for 1 hour, and potentially £5 a day. Westgate's great in the sense that we can use the beaches, but there are other places you can park nearby the beach. People come into the town centre to take advantage of the unique shops that we have, but these are shops that you're not doing your big shop. These are shops that you can get done in less than an hour. To put a potential £2 charge onto this will just damage businesses, it will move people on, and it would then just make Westgate a ghost town, and then we'll have empty parking meters collecting cobwebs and not coins. It's as simple as that.
And we have a large car park at the front, down at the seafront, which is what we're going to take up.
Yes.
Do you want to-
Well, it's just going to reflect the fact that we've got Mildred's Bay car park sitting there empty. It doesn't get used. You might see one or two regular cars that just sit there to have their lunch or look at the view while they're having a break from their jobs. But it's not used even at the busiest times of the year.
No, last night at the Residents Association, they mentioned that there were 3 cars in there and 2 of them had blue badges.
Yeah.
And it's just empty.
Yeah.
And residents have complained that they're unable to park outside their houses or use their driveways because they're taking up other people taking up vehicle space because they won't use the car park and there are too many people on the other line. Councillor Page.
My view on that particular car park is that it's been a complete waste of public money to install it there in the first place. So, are we going to have the same situation again if this is installed in Station Road? We've got ground there that's not being used that could be utilised by our community or Westbrook community for other things. It's just lying there dormant, not being used. And to have set that up in the first place must have cost a lot of public money.
Yes, it's a fine example of what we don't need. We need good parking, available parking. I think we should consolidate our comments so we can pass them on to the chairman when he goes to the joint transport meeting.
Absolutely.
So how would you like to list them? We have a clear picture to pass on. We query the fact that it will be district council raising funds for car parking and whether that is the legality of that. So it would be the legality of raising funds in this way, raising funds through parking meters. Thanet has the most expensive parking meters, some of the most expensive parking meters. I mean, Margate is £2 for half an hour, I believe. And once we've got them, well, there are 2 facets to that. Once we've got them, the price will eventually increase. And also the use of them will increase. And I can't pretend that it won't. It may be in Station Road to start with, but then it will gradually creep round to the original Cuthbert Road and St Mildred's Road. So we're concerned about the cost, we're concerned about the development. And also we have a lot of older residents who pop into places like the post office, the surgery,
Chemist.
chemist. Transport is their link to the outside world, and the charges are, well, they're prohibitive.
I mean, we would need to stay focused on Station Road. I think we need to look at the businesses there. I mean, Station Road does have cafes, it does have eating establishments, which you can get most of what you need to do within an hour, therefore that would dissuade that. We have a nursery where people are going to be potentially dropping off their kids. It might have a conversation where that could last 10, 15 minutes.